Story 1. I always click the help button at unattended paid parking structures. There is a 50% chance that the attendant who is supposed to come out and help you will not bother and will just open the gate. There are 4 locations in Hollywood where this happens that I will remember forever. Story 2. Back in the payphone days, if your call did not go through, you got your quarter back. I would call home and let the phone ring once, then hang up. I would call a second time, let it ring twice and hang up. I still had my quarter, and my mother knew I was ready to be picked up from school. This practice went away when payphones disappeared. Story 3. I was grandfathered into the T-Mobile Jump on Demand plan. You paid the regular rate for unlimited data plus $5 per month and could upgrade your phone a maximum of once per month, provided that you returned the old one and paid for any upgrades such as storage, which I did not do. When the iPhone 8 was released, I traded my iPhone 7 to get it at no cost. I did not intend to keep it because the iPhone 10 was released the following month, to which I promptly upgraded. I received a new iPhone every month for over a year because you only had to return the phone. The charger, headphones, and box were yours to keep. Later, when the class action lawsuit against Apple for intentionally reducing battery life occurred, I had 16 boxes with serial numbers to claim $50 each. Story 4. Graduated from a well-known college 20 years ago. I still had my student email and used it to access Amazon Prime, Adobe, and all the student discount deals. It was finally deactivated this past year. Story 5. Years ago, the CVS reward card coupons were not checked against the items purchased. If you had a $1 off coupon for laundry soap, you could use it to get $1 off a soda instead. The employees did not care, and it took a couple of months to fix the issue. Story 6. Coca-Cola used to offer digital $5 Amazon credits at Christmas time to anyone who entered 10 bottle cap codes on their website, with a limit of $10 per email address. I was having a particularly lean year, so I created a number of new free email accounts to claim my family's stockpile of old bottle caps. I received about $1,400 in Amazon credit from it. Story 7. Back when Best Buy sold strategy guides and GameStop bought them as trade-ins, I would buy up all the ones that went on clearance for 1 cent and go across the street to sell them each for $1. That paid for my GameCube and PlayStation 2. Story 8. Parking garage in college. The first 15 minutes were free. I would park, go to my classes, hit the gym, grab some food, see friends, normally for a few hours. When I left, I would grab the large metal lid from the 50-gallon barrel trash can near the entrance. Then I would walk through the entry, holding the metal lid to set off the sensor, making it seem as if a car was coming in. I would get a new ticket, return the lid, and use the new ticket within the 15-minute time frame to drive out for free. Story 9. Because I was a manager for a small privately owned business, it was my responsibility to update the company website, which was a DIY Squarespace platform. I always told the owner that I should be paid extra for the additional responsibility since the website did not exist when I was hired, but she refused. One day, I linked the site to my personal Google AdSense account and continued to earn passive income for years after I left because the owner never bothered to view the company website. If she ever saw the ads, she most likely had no idea how they got there or how to remove them. Story 10. Haha, it was immediately closed. I only used it once, but maybe others got a few trips out of it. In 2001, I bought an airplane ticket online and the site had a new feature to pick your own seat. I was like, whatever, front row, first class on an economy fare. Story 11. Free Sirius XM. I canceled it. The company stopped billing me but never actually shut it off. It lasted for years. Story 12. It was not really a loophole, but my local library when I was a kid held a drawing every month to win a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. All you had to do was read 5 books and fill out a form with your name on it. I was there all day often because my mom did not want to take me, but luckily I like to read, so I would win that free pizza every time. I do not know if other kids read that much or even knew about it, but the library definitely supported and nurtured me for years. Story 13. When I worked at GameStop, I would tell everyone to get a warranty on any console, especially if it is used or refurbished. Not because it will break, but so you can get a new console every year. As long as you had that warranty, we had to exchange the console. If you bought a used or refurbished one and we did not have the same model, someone would get a new console. If you had an older model and the new Xbox Series S was released, you would get a new Xbox Series S. You could bring in the console and smash it on the floor in front of me, and I had to replace it with what we had, as long as you did it within that 1-year warranty. Story 14. Starbucks tea. I was a broke college student. I was starving and hardly ate. I found out if you bought a personal cup, you could get 25 stars automatically. You could also get free refills if you were a member. A free tea at Starbucks was only 100 stars, and they often noted that I used a personal cup, which would get me another 25 stars with my free refill. So essentially, if I ordered a tea, I would bring my personal cup, get 25 stars for the initial purchase, and then get an extra 25 stars with my free refill. 2 more free refills, and I was basically getting 100 stars a day. I worked right next to a Starbucks, and I was cool with the manager, so he just told the employees to ring it up whenever I came in. I'd get 2 or 3 free refills a day and use the stars to get more free tea. Eventually, I would use the stars to buy personal cups and snacks. 100 stars was really easy to get. Now they changed it. You only get double stars with a personal cup, which is lame. But thankfully, I no longer live off tea, so I'm not really tripping. I exploited it hard. Mr. M, if you're reading this, I just want to thank you because 9 out of 10 times the Starbucks tea was my only meal that day, and I know you knew I was struggling from all the double and triple shifts I did. Thanks for all the free snacks and everything you did for me. Thank you. Story 15. Every time I picked up an Amazon locker at Rite Aid, it gave me a $5 introductory coupon for anything in the store. It took them over a year to stop doing this. Story 16. When parking for multiple days at a lot normally used for daytime parking, it might be better to lose your ticket and pay the full 1-day price. I did this when at the hospital for my child's birth and stayed 2 or 3 days. Out of curiosity, I tried not losing my ticket and was billed for all the days. Story 17. At one of the border crossings here in British Columbia, the duty-free store is almost right at the border booths, with maybe a 10-minute wait. If you purchase something at the duty-free store and show a receipt upon exit, they let you into the line right at the border booth. So whenever there was a line longer than 25 minutes, I would cut down the side lane, buy a water bottle or chocolate at the duty-free store for $4, then bypass hundreds of cars. It is a massive time saver, especially during peak crossings. Story 18. Years ago, my local post office had envelope packets on the table for people who were new to the area. You did not have to ask for them. They were just there. A lot of them. They were similar to mailers you get with coupons each week or month, but there was a valuable offer among those coupons. It was for $20 off at Sears. No minimum purchase was required, and it could be used on anything, including sale and clearance items. The text said 1 per household, but there was no tracking system when you used it. Aside from that, there were no restrictions. I would grab a few of them each month until they ran out about 8 or 9 months later. I shared them with friends who I knew could benefit from them as well. I primarily got items for my children. I scoured the clearance racks and had piles of deeply discounted kids' clothes. I remember loading up on towels during a really great sale. Most of the cashiers were unfamiliar with the coupon, but they processed it anyway. As a single mother with little financial support, it was a blessing for me. Story 19. In college, one washing machine in my dorm was well known for our ability to avoid paying the 50 cents required for a load. Insert 2 quarters. Push almost all the way in until the machine started. Pull back out. Free washing. The trick was timing a trip down there when nobody else was using it. It wasn't much, but for broke college students it was great. Of course, now my alma mater has free laundry equipment in the dorms for students. Lucky them. Story 20. This is not a loophole, but if you ever participate in a raffle, bend your ticket in half and straighten it so that it is slightly tented when you toss it in the basket. All the other tickets will be flat and lying together, and yours will be more likely to be picked because it is bent. Story 21. There have been a few versions of it, but the Servicemen's Readjustment Act generally refers to the fact that if you serve in the United States military for 3 or more years, you can go to school for free. From 2006 until 2015, An error in how the post-September 11 Service Members Group Life Insurance Act was written gave free school to everyone in the United States Coast Guard accidentally. Basically, the part of the bill that outlined who was entitled to the benefits included the Coast Guard, as one of the uniformed services of the armed forces, but the part of the bill that detailed how benefits were earned only spoke to the requirements imposed on Department of Defense service members. The Coast Guard is not under the Department of Defense. It is in the Department of Homeland Security. A literal reading of the bill at that time said a Coast Guard member could go to school for free without earning it. As soon as their induction paperwork was processed on their first or second day in the service, they could leave and then go to school for free. Thank you for sending me to graduate school. America. Story 22. Best Buy had an exercise bike available that I wanted. I ordered it, but the next day I received an email saying they were out of stock and included a $50 gift card code for my trouble. The next day, the bike was still listed, so I ordered it again. Again, the next day I received a free $50 gift card for my trouble. I did this 5 times before they removed the bike from their site. Story 23. When I was at college in the United Kingdom, I used to get my travel paid for by the college because I was from a single-parent family. They transferred £30 a day into my account, which was the cost of my ticket. If you got caught without a train ticket, you received a £20 fine. So every day, I boarded the train without a ticket and got caught probably once every 2 weeks. I paid the £20 fine on the spot, and even then, I was still in profit. This meant I could still attend college and also had money to give my mother. That extra travel money seriously helped because we desperately needed it for me and my siblings. Story 24. I use uBlock Origin on Chrome to block YouTube ads. Now I use uBlock Origin on Firefox to block YouTube ads. Story 25. At the arcade when I was a kid in the 1990s, there was a basketball game with a hoop that gave out decent tickets if you got the ball in. I assumed the owners thought that because it was nerds playing it, they would be bad at it. But it was installed at an angle, and I found a place to stand to the side of the hoop that gave easier access. I didn't abuse it, and you weren't guaranteed every shot, but it became far easier. The owner caught me once, yelled at me, and threw me out with no warning. There was nothing that indicated you had to stand in a certain spot, so I technically didn't break any rules. It was a little harsh. Next time I went, the machine was moved next to 2 walls to force people to stand where they were supposed to. I don't think I was the only kid who figured it out. Story 26. A few years ago, I went to a local convenience store to see if I could buy a creamer for my morning coffee. They said they did not sell them. I said I could see them in the refrigerator. I asked if I could buy one, and they said no. So I went to the self-service make-your-own-coffee station, filled the entire cup with creamer, walked up to the counter with the lid on, and paid for a coffee. It was not exactly my finest moment, but I was in dire need of creamer. Story 27. In Australia in the mid-2000s, Telstra, a mobile provider, used to give you credit for making calls late at night. Optus, another mobile provider, offered free calls during late hours. I used to have 2 phones and would use the Optus phone to call my Telstra phone overnight, leaving them on the call all night. This way, I would get $30 to $40 of credit on the Telstra plan, and the Optus plan cost about $5 a month. Essentially, I had free mobile service for a few years. Story 28. In the 1980s, we could put a quarter in the school payphone, and just as you heard it clink, you would click the hang-up lever almost fully. The line would open to make a call, and your quarter would be in the change return slot. Story 29. Free Papa John's pizza coupons. In the past, the higher-tier coupons from Papa John's leadership did not have a code or any identifier, just a signature. They often forgot to take the coupon, so I would call again in a few days. It got to the point where the store I usually ordered from started calling other stores to warn them about me and to make sure they grabbed the coupon. I had 30 to 40 coupons from a vendor fair, where the guy gave up and handed them to me before leaving. The funny thing is, I got over 20 pizzas from one coupon before they finally asked for it. Now all coupons have a unique code on them. Story 30. One time when I was flying with Eurowings with hand luggage only, I received a message from them asking me to please check in my hand luggage due to limited cabin space. The next time I was flying with Eurowings, I needed more luggage but did not want to pay extra. I took two hand luggage cases, went to the counter, and told them I had received a message to check in my hand luggage. I checked in one bag and took the other into the cabin. This method has worked 5 times now. Story 31. In Germany, parking with an expired parking ticket, €10 fine. Parking without a parking permit, €5 fine. Story 32. Not sure if this counts as a loophole, but I will share anyway. I run a recycling center, and back when Mountain Dew had that Xbox One promotion with codes under the caps, we ended up collecting enough to get 20 Xbox One consoles. Every employee got one that year. Also, Casey's Pizza had a promotion where if you collected 10 tabs from the large pizza box, you would get a free pizza. We had free pizzas weekly for years until they stopped doing it. Story 33. When I was a child, I went to a friend's 10th birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. I quickly realized that if you pulled the tickets slightly as they came out of the skee-ball game, you could speed up the mechanism and quadruple your tickets. I played skee-ball exclusively for 2 or 3 hours and earned a large number of tickets. I got the coolest sticky hands and a bunch of Backstreet Boys posters from the prize counter, making all my friends and the birthday girl jealous. It was the highlight of my summer that year. Story 34. A couple of years ago, Uber Eats gave me a free promotion, 40% off my next 3 orders. I placed an order from a restaurant that also had a buy one get one free promotion. They allowed me to use both discounts. It only lasted for a few weeks, but I ate like a king. Story 35. One summer, the parking lot in our town's main strip mall was closed for construction. It was early Uber years, and the Strip Malls Corporation decided to offer special free one-way rides to and from the mall, up to $20. No code, no proof of purchase from any of the shops, just the location. Everyone started using the mall as a pit stop to get wherever they were going. People used it as a means to get to work. Just call a car from your house to the mall, get out, then call a car from the mall to your work, all mostly paid for. This was over 10 years ago when $20 could get you far on Uber. Lots of people used it for the airport or truly anywhere. I was in my late teens, and it was an incredible summer. Reports later said they were well over budget by about 2 weeks in. Story 36. Last year, for about 6 months, I discovered that if you searched for Pizza Hut, a sponsored link for Domino's Pizza would appear at the top of the page. If you refreshed the page a few times, it would turn into a 50% off coupon that worked every day. I am not going to say it is great pizza, but at half price it becomes a lot more palatable. I frequented the same location about 5 times a week to get cheap pizza, and I think they caught on. It was a sad day when it stopped working. Story 37. Years ago, in 2001 or 2002, you could call the cigarette company, mine was Players, tell them one cigarette was defective, like the tinfoil was not perforated or something basic, and they would send you a whole carton for free in a sturdy box. You did not even have to prove it. Hello, Players. One of my cigarettes did not have a filter in it. Can I get a coupon for a free pack? Please? Sure. What is your address? 3 days later, a full carton would arrive. I did that for several years before the policy changed to you have to prove it, and then to, we are sorry to hear that, followed by an awkward silence. Story 38. Would create new Facebook accounts to take advantage of Papa John's free pizza coupon per Facebook account. Story 39. There was a game at Dave & Buster's where a square ran side to side over other squares. If you hit the button in the right place, you got a jackpot or an extra try, which was easier. The extra spin was so easy that we loaded up on those and hit the jackpot a reasonable number of times. We stayed there for 3 days and got enough tickets to pay for all our meals and a full-size jukebox while only spending about $50. The manager saw what we were doing and shut the machines down after we stopped playing. The next week, the square traveled significantly faster and it was much harder to hit the jackpot and extra spins. We broke the system. Story 40. About 20 years ago, I used Sprint Mobile for my cell service. A guy who worked for them taught me a trick to get a credit on your bill each month. On my way to work every day, I would call the customer support line. The automated answer system would respond and ask what the issue was. I would say, dropped call. He would ask if I wanted to speak to a customer service representative. I would say no. It would ask what the issue was again, and I would say, dropped call. It would then automatically apply a 50-cent credit to your bill. You could do this 5 times a day and up to 20 times a month, saving $10 each month. It was not a huge discount, but it took maybe 2 minutes a day when I was stuck in my car anyway. Story 41. I used to travel a lot for work back in the 1990s. Airlines started accepting credit cards as payment for drinks, but the planes did not have Wi-Fi. Flight attendants would swipe your card with a handheld payment terminal, but they could not process your card until after landing. The handheld unit needed to be taken to an office and placed in a docking station. American Express gift cards resembled regular credit cards, featuring raised numbers. My coworkers and I kept an American Express gift card with $5 on it and used it to buy drinks on the plane. By the time the card was declined, we were on our way to the hotel. Story 42. When I just started driving about 25 years ago, I discovered an easy way to cheat the gas pump at my local gas station. By flicking the flapper at a very specific rate, it would stop counting for about 1/3 of the time but continue pumping. If you were not precise, it would stop and a message saying, "Please see cashier," would pop up on the screen. I would just go inside, say I did not know what happened, and pay. The person behind the counter had no idea what was going on. They did upgrade the pumps shortly after, but I got a lot of free gas. Story 43. It was years ago, and I cannot remember if it was Walmart or Amazon, but there was a glitch on the board game sale prices that made them free in your cart. I paid a few bucks for shipping and got many games to donate to Christmas charities. Story 44. My brother and I used to buy a video game from Walmart, play it until we beat it or felt done with it, go to a different Walmart and say our copy was defective. We did not want a refund, we just wanted a working copy. Then we would go back to the original Walmart and return the sealed game with no questions asked. You might still be able to do this, but I doubt it. Story 45. Back in the early days of the internet, my computer came with a 1-month free internet service from a company I had never heard of. We did not have internet because my parents did not think it was necessary, and I was too young to use it and was not allowed. I installed it in a hidden folder and only used it late at night since dial-up used the phone line. Each month when it expired, I reinstalled the Windows operating system to get another month of free internet. I did this for years and taught myself to code in secret. This was more impressive because there were no real search engines or online tutorials, only looking at other websites and interacting with technology enthusiasts in exchange for answers to my questions. When I was 14, the family business needed a website, so I made one. They never questioned how I learned. Story 46. I worked for Amazon for 6 months in 2016. I used their free Prime membership for years before they realized I was no longer an employee. Story 47. Several years ago, Leafly sent out a $50 off coupon for the cannabidiol/tetrahydrocannabinol company, 5. Instead of sending a one-off single-use code in the email, Leafly sent a link to a single-use coupon code generator. It is important to note that most of 5's products were under $50. They did not charge sales tax for my state, and they had free shipping for orders over $35. The reason I figured out this coupon loophole was that I ordered something that was $42.99, then went back because I forgot to get something I actually used for $9.99 to clear the $7.01 balance left on the coupon. I figured I would have to pay the $2 difference and the $4 shipping, but when I used the original coupon code, I got a "this coupon has already been used" type error. Annoyed, I went back to the email and clicked the link again, and it gave me an entirely new coupon code. I tested my luck and, surprisingly, 5 did not have real protections in their coupon use system for this specific coupon, aside from the 1 coupon per transaction limit. This meant I could infinitely generate new codes and purchase things for up to $50, paying nothing, and I was not breaking any terms and conditions because it was limit 1 coupon per transaction, rather than per customer, account, or address. Naturally, I went on a coupon rampage over the next 2 months until they caught on and disabled the link. In total, I acquired about $8,500 worth of overpriced cannabidiol/tetrahydrocannabinol products for the low price of $0. This occurred from mid-October to mid-December, because I was like a cannabidiol/tetrahydrocannabinol Santa that year. Story 48. I used to have a streaming service through a cable subscription. When I canceled my cable plan, it still let me log in to the streaming service without issue. It was a nice 4 years of free home box office content before they finally made an update that stopped me from logging back in. Story 49. One time Albertsons put whole chickens on sale for $1 per pound and then had a manager mark down 50% on each one. They labeled them $1 each, so 50 cents a chicken. I bought 24 chickens, about 100 pounds of chicken, for $12. Story 50. A legal and still used method for Amazon is to subscribe and save. When you buy something, you click on subscribe and save. When it arrives at your house, you log back into your account and cancel the subscription. You get a few dollars off the item at the first purchase and do not have to worry about more showing up later. Story 51. 1-800-COLLECT. In the early 90s, if you talked fast enough, no one paid. State your name. Mom, come pick me up at the rec center at 2. Story 52. My wife was placing an online order for diapers and baby wipes when we had our first child. Both of us were working, and having a newborn meant we had little time for normal shopping. Due to a glitch in the online deal on diapers and baby wipes, the more you bought, the greater the discount. We ended up purchasing our oldest child's entire supply of diapers and baby wipes that night for almost nothing. Thank you, Duns, Ireland. Story 53. When my wife and I were very poor living on her master's degree campus, they charged for laundry. You paid through an application. I discovered that if you hit the start button on the application and closed it immediately, the machine would start, but I would not be charged. I got many free loads of laundry that way. The loophole never closed, but the price did go up eventually because the old price was not working out for the school. I felt a little guilty for partly causing that. Story 54. I was living with a woman in 1989 who worked at an international bank known for laundering cartel cash. She convinced me to move all my banking to her brand, and I received a staff account with many perks, including no service charges and preferred interest rates on loans and credit cards. That relationship ended in the early 2000s, but I kept banking there. I had savings, checking, mortgage, business, investment, and credit card accounts. The credit card was connected to a rewards program, but staff accounts accrued reward points at triple the normal rate and had a very low interest rate. I routed all my spending through it and earned many free rewards. I also took out a few loans over the years at rates far below what normal consumers paid. In 2011, after enjoying the perks for over 20 years, 9 of which were after the relationship ended, I received a letter from the bank stating they were unsure why I was receiving these privileges and that they would terminate the perks at the end of the year, about 4 months away. The end of the year came and went, but nothing changed. I did not hear another word for 6 more years. Then, one day out of the blue, I started seeing service charges on the accounts and noticed my credit card interest rate was quite high, that is, normal. I immediately closed all my accounts and moved all my business to the same bank as my wife. It took until the next renewal period to move the mortgage and some investments, but eventually, I had nothing more to do with the bank. The party was over, but it was a good almost 30-year run while it lasted. Story 55. The arcade machine at the corner cafe cost 50 cents to play. We found that if you smashed a 5-cent piece with a hammer to match the size and thickness of the 50-cent coin, the machine would accept it. We played many games for cheap before the owner removed it. Story 56. I used to call the operator on payphones and say I lost some money trying to make a call. They would try to return the change, but there was none to return. After that did not work, they would ask how much I put in, and I would tell them like $2.50 or something. They would question it like, "Why? Did you put so much in?" I would tell them I thought it needed more money. I was 12 or 13. They would end up taking down my information, and a week later there would be a check for $2.50 in the mailbox. My dad would cash it for me from his desk, and I would have money for some candy bars after school. I was a criminal mastermind. It only closed because the payphones started going away. Story 57. My high school vending machine charged $1.50 per snack. If you pressed C4 and then unplugged it mid-drop, you would get the snack and your money back. The hallway was basically a snack casino until they secured the cord to the wall. Story 58. Last year I found a glitch in an online casino game. If you placed your stake and immediately withdrew when the game started, it would pay out 1.01% of your stake. This was a cash or crash game. Even if the game crashed before it started, you would still get the 1% profit. I always staked the maximum, which was €100. So I won €1 every game. The game played twice every minute, so I made €2 per minute using this loophole. They patched it after 3 days. By then, my friend, my brother, and I made over €10,000. Because we staked €200 per minute, we earned massive casino loyalty points, which provided another €45 per hour in profits. After the patch, we withdrew our balance and stopped playing. About 3 months later, we all received emails stating we were banned from the online casino and that our accounts were deleted. Story 59. The Coke machine in the science building at my university would register but then return any dime you put in the slot. I got free soda for a couple of months before someone else saw me doing it. That person used the trick to empty the entire machine that evening. The machine was replaced a week later. Story 60. Not so much a loophole, just being at the right place. I work in a cinema. A few years ago, the bags of chocolate we bought had a promotion tied to Google. Every pack had a special code which, when entered into your Google account, would give you £1 in Google credit for movies, apps, ebooks, and more on the Google Play Store. As you are probably already aware, people are messy in the cinema, and the staff clean up after them for the next show. Among the rubbish left were packets with the promotional Google codes. I think I made about £150. Story 61. You used to be able to buy a loose tea bag at Starbucks for 60 cents, then ask for a free cup of hot water instead of paying $3.75 for the barista to put the bag into the hot water and hand it to you. Story 62. I accidentally broke the coin slot on a pool table, and everyone got free play at that club for days. I felt like a dive bar king. Story 63. Years ago, the Pizza Hut application had an issue where ordering specific flavored chicken bits would result in the store receiving the order with an incorrect flavor. Consequently, they would send the wrong flavor. I called the store and received a credit for the chicken. I did this regularly because it meant free chicken. Both flavors were good to me, so I enjoyed free chicken for 2 to 3 years before the issue was corrected. The manager even told me to stop, but I simply said to fix the application. Story 64. Back when I had my first mobile phone around 2007. A tiny LG flip phone that had enough space to store 2 MP3s and no more. My games were limited to Snake and Drive. It came with a second internet browser called Opera. For unknown reasons, if I used Opera instead of a normal browser, it did not charge me for internet use. I could access MySpace, Facebook, and my email without draining my credit, which was amazing since text messages cost 25 cents and no data was included. Story 65. As a teenager in the early 1990s, there was a nightly top 10 countdown on the radio. They had a competition where you could call in and name the most requested song to win a prize, usually a portable cassette stereo, Atari Lynx, many promotional CDs, and radio station merchandise. All the kids listening would call as soon as the number 2 song started and name the number 1 song based on the previous night's results. My brothers kept a running tally of previous results and would call as soon as the number 3 song started, guessing which of the remaining 2 was the top song. If we were wrong, we hung up and called back immediately to name the other song. We had quite a system going, including giving friends names and addresses, until one week when we got too greedy and won 4 out of 5 times. They changed the rules after that. Story 66. The Royal Canadian Mint once ran a promotion for some hockey-related commemorative $1 coins that included free shipping. The offer had no limit on order size but was only valid until the limited inventory ran out. The team at the Mint included free shipping via Canada Post. I immediately ordered as many as my small charge card could bear, leaving a $300 emergency balance. When they arrived, I took them straight to the bank and paid off my card. I repeated this process. I learned I could complete my orders about 3 times every 2 weeks. Bank tellers learned to dislike me because they had to remove the coins from their plastic casings to count them. After 3 or 4 months, the issue ran out and the offer ended. By then, I had accumulated enough travel miles on my card for 2 off-season airline tickets from Vancouver to Rome without paying any credit card interest. I also received a significant increase in my credit limit. Subsequent free shipping offers from the Royal Canadian Mint were limited to one free shipment per mailing address. Story 67. My high school had a rule that if you were 18, you could have your parents sign a form to allow you to write your own notes for being late or leaving early. I turned 18 in the middle of my junior year, filled out the form, and had my parents sign it. I turned it in, and the school wanted to reject it. I showed them the rule, which did not require the student to be a senior, only that the student had to be 18. They were not happy that I had read the complete rule. Within 3 days, the rule was updated to state that a student had to be 18 and in the 12th grade. Because I turned in my form and it was approved before the rule change, I kept the ability to write my own notes for the rest of my junior year and my entire senior year. I was the only junior to do this in the school's history, and I gladly changed the rule for all future students. Story 68. Airplanes used to have a credit card slot to watch television on domestic flights. However, credit card transactions were not processed until after landing. My hockey team discovered that a hotel key card could be used to activate these televisions, allowing viewing without being charged. This was an excellent workaround. Story 69. Way back in college in 1997 to 1998, my school had a total of 8 dial-up modems to connect to the internet for the entire campus, which included approximately 2,000 students and faculty. You had to dial and randomly hope that one was free. In my junior year, I lived in an apartment with 3 other guys and noticed there was an extra phone jack along the living room wall. I plugged a phone into it and got a dial tone. I then called our apartment's actual phone number, and our phone rang. This meant we had a second phone line that no one knew about. I quietly ran a 30-foot phone line from my computer to the living room under the carpet, plugged it in, and stayed connected for nearly the entire year, effectively having one of the 8 connections all to myself. I then ran a token ring network through the back stairwell to my friends in the downstairs apartment, and we all shared the internet over a serial line internet protocol connection on my 486 computer. It was absolutely glorious. I never received a bill, and this was back when local calls cost money. The connection finally disconnected about 2 months before the end of the year, but it was an incredible run. Story 70. One summer in high school, Coca-Cola had a Summer of Coke contest. You had a 1 in 5 chance to win a free 20-ounce Coca-Cola under the cap. I discovered that if I tilted the bottle just right, I could read the winning caps before buying them. I spent $1.05 for an entire summer of Coca-Cola, and it was glorious. Sadly, summer ended, and with it, my summer of Coke. It was a great summer. Story 71. In college, there was a vending machine that not only gave out free Coke Zero drinks but also gave you 2. Sometimes it would even glitch and give you a Coke Zero along with another random soda from the machine. It was never fixed the entire time I was there. Story 72. Not major, but our trash service never picked up our can after we canceled service because they kept getting more expensive. They still collected our trash for 3 years. Story 73. A long time ago, I was studying in Barcelona and I would get a monthly transport pass. It was made of cardboard-like paper with a magnetic strip in the middle. Somehow, it got damaged and worked beyond the month it was valid for. It lasted me 2 years and saved me about 35 euros per month. The paper sides wore off and I had to apply tape and paper. One day, it stopped working, and I felt devastated but still very lucky. Story 74. I wanted a hysterectomy because I had endometriosis that was debilitating and holding me back. I never wanted children. I have a congenital disability that makes it dangerous to get pregnant, and I have a cognitive disability that makes it dangerous to leave me fully responsible for a child. But every doctor used the old arguments. You're too young. You'll want children one day. You'll change your mind. What would your future husband think? The usual medical misogyny. My state had an archaic ableist law that allowed parents and guardians of people with severe disabilities to get a free hysterectomy for their daughter because of eugenics. It also involved the claim that it was easier to care for a non-menstruating person with disabilities. This is a pretty disgusting law that remains from the days of asylums and institutions, where it was easier to sterilize and lobotomize a disabled person than to actually support their needs. So anyway, I, a fully grown adult, took both my parents to my gynecology appointment where they formally requested I be given a hysterectomy because I was disabled and my periods were hard for my parents to deal with. They also argued that if I got pregnant, society would suffer. I had a total hysterectomy at 24 with zero out-of-pocket expenses. I had stage 4 endometriosis, and they had to separate my bladder from my bowel where they had fused. My life has been so much better since. It was the best decision I have ever made. I just realized my story doesn't actually answer the original question because it's technically not a closed loophole. There is no longer a legal pathway to force sterilization to force a doctor to sterilize me. However, it has not been made illegal for a doctor to sterilize a disabled person without their consent if the doctor believes sterilization is necessary. This means the law is now worse than before, as it continues to harm people who do not want surgery and now prevents people who want surgery from accessing it. Story 75. There was a vending machine in my dormitory room that would dispense more change than required. I figured out the rare conditions under which it did that and took advantage of it for a few weeks until the vendor caught on. I got free laundry change for the semester that way. I completely forgot about it until this thread. That was over 30 years ago. Story 76. In the early to mid-2000s, Amazon United Kingdom had £5 referral vouchers you could send to a friend. If they spent it with a very low minimum spend, you would receive a £5 voucher in return. Owning my own domain, I had an unlimited supply of email addresses, so I could basically gift myself unlimited £10 credits. At that time, Amazon was not the marketplace it is now and was mostly focused on music CDs and books. However, I built up a large CD collection which I still have. Story 77. GoGuardian is a website that teachers use to monitor student screens and ensure they stay on task. A classmate showed me something that looked like a bookmark tab, but was actually a way to disable GoGuardian. That computer eventually stopped working, so I got a new one. Everything was the same except for that bookmark page, which turned into a 404 error. Story 78. Our company decided to deny all overtime even though it is illegal to do so. Since we still had to work events that would usually result in overtime, I had everyone in our office keep track on both official and personal calendars of every minute of overtime worked. That way we were able to take random days off as compensatory time whenever we wanted. When they finally agreed to reinstate overtime after about a year and a half, I used this to get myself an entire week's vacation paid and still had about 4 extra days, which they paid out at time and a half. Story 79. A local used bookstore paid 15% of the cover price for used books and charged 50% of the cover price for purchases. This applied only if you used store credit and did not convert it to cash. I started buying Closeout Bodice Buster and Cowboy Pulps from a store for next to nothing. The cover price was 10 or 20 times my cost. I converted a lot of bad writing into good literature. I still have many books by Kerouac, Faulkner, and Dillard in my library from those college days. Story 80. One time, I accidentally forgot to pay for parking at the garage where I parked my car along my commute to work. I didn't travel every day, more like once every 2 weeks. Nothing happened. The expected fine did not arrive. So the next time, I thought I would test it to see if it was a fluke. I could accept the fine to satisfy my curiosity. Nothing happened again. I parked my car for free for over a year before management of the place changed, and I decided it was better to start paying again. Story 81. During the introduction of the euro in the European Union in 2002, I used many Italian 100 lire coins on my school's vending machines, which accepted them as €1. The €1 coins were extremely similar in shape, weight, and appearance to the 100 lire coins. I think the 100 lire coins may have even been the blueprint for the euro coins. 100 lire was worth about 10 cents at the time. Good times. Story 82. During the height of skyrocketing precious metal prices, you could buy a brand new original equipment manufacturer catalytic converter from the dealership parts department, cut off the extra parts, and immediately sell it to scrappers for $500 or more than it initially cost to buy the part. Precious metal prices came down, so this loophole was no longer possible. I know people who were making 5 figures easily. Story 83. I didn't even know I was abusing it. Back when Lime bikes were Jump bikes, Jump had a deal where you could pay $30 a month for 1 hour free each day. It was very useful and sustained me for an entire year. When Lime bought them out, they ended the monthly program but did not inform those of us who had the program, nor did they stop our access. This resulted in me getting 5 months of free bike usage. Finally, one morning I found my account had stopped working. When I reached out, they accused me of theft for the 5 months and initially wanted to charge me. However, when I asked when they had actually informed us that the program was ending, they quietly ended the conversation and left me alone. Story 84. When Uber Eats first launched, the app did not differentiate between items in a combo. I would order a Big Mac extra value meal with a large Coke. I would ask for no ice, which meant the large Coke was only filled up to about an inch from the rim. I reported the drink to Uber for being the wrong size, saying I received a medium instead of a large, with a picture of the partially full Coke as evidence. They accepted that the drink was the wrong size and refunded the entire combo. I ended up getting free McDonald's for a few months before Uber Eats banned my account from receiving refunds. Story 85. When I was in high school, Qdoba had an online promotion with a selection of mini games on their website. Depending on your score, you would receive a different coupon. There were many coupons, most of which were not very valuable, such as a free small soda with the purchase of an entree. However, there was one coupon that was especially good. A free Pick 3 meal with the purchase of any drink. The Pick 3 was the largest entree they offered, allowing you to choose 3 items, for example, 2 tacos and a quesadilla. This coupon was supposed to be rare and awarded only for the highest possible score on the hardest mini-game. We searched for the coupon image online and edited the expiration date using MS Paint by placing a text box over the original date. We printed about 10 copies and went after school to use them. Additionally, there was another promotion where you could get free large chips and queso by completing an online survey linked at the bottom of the receipt. The survey was long and tedious. At the end, it provided an 8-digit number to show the cashier. First, we completed the survey and took the number to the register, but realized the cashier did not process it immediately. Instead, all numbers were processed in bulk later. So, we began writing random 8-digit numbers on the receipts without completing the survey. As a result, we got around $25 worth of Qdoba food for about $1.89 if you chose a kid-size soda, for 10 to 12 people every day for about 5 months. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.